The US Mexico border is a place of contrast, barrier and passage, division and resilience. Through her lens, social documentary photographer Laurie Smith brings us closer to the people, the landscapes, and the untold stories unfolding at the walled US Mexico border. Today, she shares her powerful images with us and the stories behind them.
The first photograph is titled Hands Through the Wall. Trump's 30-foot steel bollard wall is menacing, ominous, dark, and dangerous. It is a gash that snakes infinitely through the sands of the Chihuahuan Desert. Strangely, at the same time, some say it can look like environmental art, magnificent and stark, a terrible beauty. Trump wanted to paint the wall black to burn the hands of those trying to climb it, but that wouldn't have stopped anyone. A 30-foot wall only prompts the building of a 31-foot ladder. It's not impenetrable. There are breaches everywhere. Smugglers cut through the steel and dig tunnels underneath. The wall doesn't stop crossings, it only delays them, hoping the Border Patrol can intervene. It also slows migrants long enough to die from heat, thirst, rattlesnake bites, and scorpion stings. Criminal organizations abandon the migrants in the desert, leaving many to die just 1,000 feet from roads near urban areas. The second photo is entitled War Zone at the Wall. A couple of years ago, Texas's Governor Greg Abbott took on an $11 billion hardline approach to creating a war zone in my homeland, along the banks of the Rio Grande. Now Trump has demanded that Mexico deploy 10,000 troops to the border. It is nothing but a politically motivated stunt, all optics. It has done little to prevent the humanitarian crisis at the border or to abate the numbers of migrants seeking asylum. The third photograph is entitled La Perrera, or the Dog Kennel. In 2018, after hearing many migrant families were living on the streets of Juarez, I decided to walk across the International Bridge to document what was unfolding. As I crossed, people on the bridge stopped to look down, trying to locate the source of the sounds we heard of crying babies. Look closely at this photograph. What I saw were migrant families with young children being detained like animals by the U.S. Border Patrol. They were contained by a crumbling rock wall covered with razor wire under the U.S. side of the International Bridge. Families with small children were held for days outside, exposed to the elements, sitting and sleeping on gravel as they waited, lined up under ropes for handouts of granola bars and water. Their backpacks containing all their belongings were taken, shoelaces removed for security, and they were given only Mylar blankets to stay warm in the chilly, windy March weather. I heard later that the migrants called this particular holding area La Perrera, or the Dog Kennel. The fourth photograph in this series is called Mother Bathing Child. In 2018, there was an uptick of asylum seekers, mostly from Mexico and Central America, arriving at the border. I heard many families were living and camping on the streets and in the parks of Juarez, falling prey to extortion, sex trafficking, robbery, rape, and murder by the cartel, human smugglers, and sometimes Mexican law enforcement. These migrants and their families were simply waiting for a safe time to cross the border to request asylum. The fifth photograph in this series is entitled Asylum Seekers on the Juarez Side of the Wall. In early 2023, during the Biden administration, there was a new program entitled Humanitarian Parole. It was instated because the U.S. had no relationship with countries run by dictators and asylum seekers from these countries. Okay, the sixth photo is called Eyes Through the Wall. I see all kinds of things, unexpected things actually, unfold. At this part of the wall, there are often families waiting to ask the Border Patrol for asylum. I often drive along the wall for miles and miles when I'm down in El Paso, documenting what I see unfolding. This time, there was a Honduran woman with her child. She was waiting at the wall to request asylum from the Border Patrol. But this was a part of the wall where asylum requests were not being taken. So I had to instruct her to walk about 1.5 miles south toward a certain area where Border Patrol officers were at the ready to take in asylum seekers. Seventh photograph in the series is entitled Wheat Paste of Venezuelan Men Seeking Asylum. Wheat pastes are my favorite form of presenting my photographs to the public art. I find it important for my photographs to be seen by everybody and not simply in some gallery or museum. Sometimes it feels too exclusive. And this photograph shows the power of the public looking at my work. This photograph was wheat pasted in an alley in Denver, Colorado. And I like to go back to see how it has aged in the sun and the wind and the rain. I feel like this method of displaying my photographs of migrants and the border wall is very appropriate, and that it really evokes the harshness of the weather, very similar to the migrant's journey. So I took my cousin down one day, about a month after this wheat paste was on the wall, and he looked closely and he said, "Look, Laurie, someone has graffitied on your photograph." And I looked closely, and on the photograph, someone had scratched in the words, "Wetbacks run." And my cousin was just horrified. He said, "That is just the most horrible thing." And I thought it was a good thing. For me, it means someone, even if they oppose what they're saying, it means they're reacting. They're looking, they're reacting, it's making an impression. So I went back a few weeks after that to see how the photograph had weathered. And someone had scratched out the word "run" and written in, "Wetbacks are welcome." To me, that is just almost poetic, really. And I feel like the purpose of a photograph is to evoke a reaction. If it initially sparks a negative response, I feel like it can subsequently ignite a positive reaction in the next viewer. The initial negativity can act as a catalyst, triggering a positive reaction. And I feel like a photograph's power lies in evoking responses to fulfill its purpose.
On that note, Laurie, I just have to say that your photography is more than just capturing moment. It's about human connections, culture, and social justice. I want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.